Hello and welcome back to our next presentation. I'm really happy to have with me Christoph Hillmann from Prologa, and he's going to tell us all about how to automate and optimize waste management processes. And here we've got a lot of interesting ideas and things to talk about because you all know it, digitalization and the Internet of Things are not a thing of the future, they are a thing of today. And I'm really happy to hear how we can use that in our waste management industry, in our recycling industry, to really get the step ahead that we need right now. Christoph, thank you so much for being here and giving us this presentation. Have fun. Afterwards, we will have a few minutes to answer all of your questions. So please put them in the questions box. You can find it on the left or right, depending on the device you are on. It's a little speech bubble with a question mark inside of it. They will all come to me and we will answer them in the end. Christoph, have fun. Thank you for being here and let's go.
Yep, thanks you for the introduction and welcome everyone to this session about automation and optimization of processes in waste management companies. As already said, my name is Christoph Hillmann. I'm working as product manager for Prologa, and within the next 20 minutes I want to show you a bit around Prologa and its solutions and how these tackle your key challenges ahead for waste and recycling industry. First of all, I want to go with you through some emerging trends which we are seeing in the waste and recycling industry with our customers especially, and basically the challenges behind we are facing together with them. First one obviously is digitalization. Yes, a huge word. What does that mean for our customers or for waste and recycling industry in general? There's digital twins coming up around every corner, kind of. You have an onboard unit for the vehicles, you have a mobile device for the driver as a digital twin, you have sensors in the container, and all these digital twins sending you some data which need to be used, which need to be integrated into the existing business processes. So that's our having these digital twins is one thing. Sending the data is the other thing, but the key challenge we see is integrating them into the existing business processes. The second emerging trend is automation. There is an increasing complexity coming up to waste and recycling companies. You have a higher complexity of your fleet. There's not just a fuel-powered vehicle anymore in your fleet. There might be already a electric-powered vehicle or any other power engines going, keeping your fleet going. So that's going to be, or that is an increasing complexity, because all these different kind of cars obviously have different ranges. There is also increasing complexity in restrictions. You can only go with into a city center between 7 and 9 in the morning. Okay, that's what we usually know. But also, I mean, you can only, in some cities, you can only go with your electric vehicle into the city center and not with a fuel powered vehicle anymore. So also that gets more and more complex. And at the same time, we see our customers facing the lack of expertise on the employee market. Especially local expertise. So they're getting problems finding the right drivers, finding the right planners, for example, and basically these two challenges in the light of tough competition being around. So at the same time, you need to be very competitive, and also you need to be you need to face and keep the increasing complexity and the missing expertise under control, and that's basically what drives most of our customers into automating more and more processes. And the third one is obviously circular economy, where we see more and more companies looking differently at a waste material and looking at it as valuable material. And that's actually an interesting point, because this brings us into contact not just with waste and recycling companies as such, with a disposal company, for example, which is obviously the key of our customer base. However, it brings us also into contact with production companies. We just recently had a new customer joining, who is basically a producer of lead, and they don't really, they are not a disposal company. They simply produce lead and have a problem on securing their supply chain throughout the last years. So they are trying to find secondary raw material by recycling batteries. And they're even going into collecting batteries, recycling batteries, and getting to their secondary raw material to see and see that as an opportunity or an alternative for their supply chain. Going into so more and more companies going into that reverse logistics, reverse supply chain, basically in order to identify an alternative to get to their raw material. And basically, Prologa, as a long-time SAP partner, offers two specific solutions for these challenges around waste and recycling processes. Both solutions are fully integrated into the SAP landscape, and that is also actually our key advantage compared to other solutions, because we are working with a single source of truth when it comes to master data. And in the moment you look at automation, especially for complex business processes, this does get extremely important. I mean, many companies do face the problem of having a system landscape with plenty of different systems, and always running behind synchronizing the master data between all these different systems. And basically, if you work on automation, you need to go to the best and closest master data closest to the real world. And as soon as you just have some data in a separate system, not really related to what is your real cost, for example, that obviously just gives you, I always say, a second reality. And not really close to what actually happens around out there in the world. So to avoid that, running always behind synchronizing the master data, that's basically the key advantage of our solution, because it sits directly in the SAP ERP system, and therefore just uses the original master data which is there and doesn't need any connection, any API, any interface, and any need on maintaining two different sources of master data. And with these projects, we basically do implementation. With these products, we basically do implementation projects all around the world with different kinds of customers, from municipal customers, municipalities who organize their waste and recycling logistics themselves, to industrial customers or commercial customers. And I go at the end of the presentation a bit deeper into what basically is the core of our customer base, and pick out some references to explain you what we're doing with them. So first of all, there I want to give you some more insights on what does our solution basically cover in the waste and recycling process, and what can help you basically getting more automation into your processes. In general, it does give you a holistic view on the order to cash process. And talking about the order to cash process in waste and recycling, that also includes somehow a second, and depending on how your business is structured, maybe as well a third process which runs in parallel. That's on the one hand the plan to collect process, so everything about planning and executing basically the collection. And if you have a facility in your business as well, then waste to value process somehow as well. but let's go through what basically is it what we can cover there. So in the order to cash, starting really at the customer calling, having a request, wants to have a new container at a certain location, a one-off service, or it can also be a frequent service every second Tuesday. The bin needs to be picked up. And that's basically covered. We have a CRM system or a CRM interface, a web interface, where basically the customer agent can work with the customer on setting up a contract, setting up a new order, and identifying what's the right pricing for it, and having a full overview basically on the customer to our company and relationship. Out of that contract, then basically what we automate is this order creation process. I mean, easy one, if you have a one-off service, then that one service which is agreed in the contract, that is the order. But if you have several requests in one contract, or you have a certain service frequency agreed, like every second Tuesday the bin needs to be picked up, then obviously order creation is not that easy or that simple, and you have more orders coming out of a contract of an agreement. So that's basically just happening automated with our solution, that you have then for every second Tuesday an order, and if there is another request just in, can you come next Friday and pick up on once more, no problem, that can be incorporated just there. And that leads us directly in the planning to collect process, and into the logistical planning, because these orders now need to be dispatched to the vehicles, and also the personnel needs to be dispatched to the vehicles. That can be easily done in the system, and we even offer an option to automate that process, because here comes exactly what I said in the beginning, this growing complexity of restrictions around at which time I can go into the city center, at which time does maybe a customer also tell me you can only go between 10 and 11 in the morning and pick up the bin. Is there any other restrictions all around this order, and my fleet which I have? So all that can be automated to create within minutes a valid plan for your routing of your fleet and serving all the orders. And obviously, as soon as you have a valid plan, you also would like to optimize it potentially. So also there we have a solution to do that automatically, that route optimization based on price. In the end, we optimize all prices somehow related to that logistical execution. So meaning reducing the time of the working time related to your scenario. So reducing the time the personnel is out there working, means reducing the cost of personnel. Reducing the time also means reducing the distance driven. And reducing the distance driven reduces your fuel costs, reduces all the variable costs of your fleet, and in the end also reduces your CO2 footprint. And if you can actually do all the orders in less time, then you might also need less trucks to basically serve all the orders. And these less trucks reduce your fixed costs on your fleet. That's incorporated there as well. And we even go one step further in that automation, looking at the disposal costs, because at a certain point in time it might make sense to go a few kilometers longer to a different disposal facility, because disposal prices are cheaper there. So yes, you have a bit more time it takes to get there. You have a bit more fuel costs. However, you have significantly lower disposal costs, and all that the algorithm takes into account to optimize the routing of the fleet. Then obviously we also cover all that onboard unit integration, so everything around the logistical execution. real-time communication with the driver through separate communication channels, and by that reducing the reaction times to certain unexpected things happening, like a vehicle breakdown. There might be weather changing, there might be customer request changing, or there might just be traffic jam which is not expected at a certain point in time in the city, and you might need to replan your scenario for the whole day. And that's basically making it possible, this integration of the onboard unit. So that's the whole planning to collect, because now we've collected the waste material, and we need to bring it somewhere. And if you have your own facility, for example, as well, then we come to that waste to value process. So covering the whole inbound control, the whole incoming material will get weighed, will get identified, and in the end as well, having an inventory in your plant, and covering the sorting and fractioning of this material, because it might be that it's comes mixed in there, might be that it comes in different fractions, and you can basically sort that, and still have an inventory overview in the end on how many tons you basically have from which material, and also helping that obviously with an outbound control, to see, okay, what material can I actually sell, how much do I actually invoice to a customer who brought it to me, by clearly identifying what is the waste material there, how much do I have it, clearly tracking the whole flow of the material through your plant. And that basically leads us to the last point, to the most important point for your company, actually billing and invoicing of the customer. So billing the customer for the services done, for the material accepted, for the material sent out, all that, as it is closely integrated, all that is covered within our waste and recycling and environmental services add-on to SAP. And yes, you could still say this is actually what any other waste and recycling solution out there covers as well. The one or the other thing a bit differently. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses on certain points, but the key point is here, it's not standalone. It's actually fully integrated with other parts of the business, as I said before. So it's fully integrated with HR, fully integrated with your maintenance, looking at, okay, is a certain truck available on this day or not? Maybe it's in maintenance. Is a personnel available or not? So that integration, as I said, the inventory of material, you're controlling your sales, all that really closely integrated, just within being within the same system. That's the key advantage of it. And yes, I could tell you now all that generic nice advantages or the benefits you might have, reducing administrative costs, reducing the time it takes to communicate or to react on certain things happening. I said that with the point with the clear integration and therefore the increasing transparency on all your data and all your processes actually happening. But I don't want to bore you with that. I rather want to show you a specific business case which we've built up for automating the route planning actually. So if you look at the right side, if you have a scenario with 200 trucks, you say for these 200 trucks, you would have 5 people only doing nothing else than planning the routes for these 200 trucks, and each of the planners costs 60,000 euro a year. Then we basically say with our solution of automating that route planning, you basically can save 85% of your planning effort, of your manual planning effort. That means paying for the solution, saving the 85% of the manual planning effort, still saves you 55K a year. which is quite significant, because the one planet you then still have is actually paid by this solution. And that's just one dimension of the benefits. The other one would be, I mean, we also talked about optimizing costs, optimizing the routes, and yes, you can talk about and discuss about it. If it's 1 to 5% of the costs, you will save. It depends also on the level of how was it already done, how big is your fleet, how much opportunities are there to optimize. But if you just have 1% less logistical costs through that optimization, in this scenario, you would already save 350K a year, which is quite a significant number, I think. That's to the benefits, and maybe as a wrap up, a short overview on some references which we are working with. As I said, we're working worldwide. You see here some companies, or a few companies we are working with, like Jakob Becker, a mid-sized waste management company in Germany. We have NG, Norsk Gjenvinning as well, which is the biggest waste and recycling company in Norway. We also work with international corporations like Suez or Alba as well, but also with companies who are not mainly in the waste and recycling industry, like Energie AG, which is actually a multi-utilities company, or also with international companies sitting quite far away in the United Arab Emirates. That's BIA, which you can see there. And with them, actually, we've did also some more special implementation all around vehicle tracking, real-time vehicle tracking, monitoring of collection status, and reacting to it. That was a quite focused implementation of that part. But also, as I said in the beginning, we do not cover industrial or commercial customers. We do also cover municipal customers. From mid-sized cities like Halle or Duisburg to large metropolitan areas like Hamburg, for example, but also to municipalities or cities going quite far ahead already on the whole topic of smart cities like Darmstadt. There we've implemented, or they have sensors with bins already implemented, and we worked with them on how to integrate these into their business processes. Quite an interesting project we had with them, actually. So that's basically the overview I wanted to give you, and now it would be time for any questions which you might have.
Thank you so much for this presentation for now. And I would like to start off because you just said, you just told us about some cities being further ahead, some cities be going the steps really quickly. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about the things that are how do you say it, that are bringing a city, a municipality further ahead. You told us in a little sentence about smart bins, sensors there. Of course, all the other things you're doing, but what do you think are the key factors for a smart city of the future?
For a smart city of the future, yes, well, that's a lot about these digital twins, actually, that I said in the beginning, and obviously quite by far more broader to just dancing it down to the waste and recycling industry. But
sorry, yeah, sure. Please stay in the waste and recycling industry. Of course, there are a million things in other things we can do, but regarding the waste and recycling industry, there.
If we stay in there, then obviously that is the so-called smart bin, and there really what's the key factor there? What we see customers are struggling with. I mean, it's one thing to have the sensor in the bin, but just the sensor doesn't make the bin smart, actually, because the sensor is there and the sensor has some information. That information needs to be loaded into your ERP. That might be the easy part. However, just then the real challenge in my view starts, because this data from that sensor needs to be interpreted correctly. We see customers having best experience with different sensors for different containers for different fractions. So there might be a need to identify or to interpret data differently per sensor, per kind of sensor. And that may basically makes the thing difficult, because what does it mean if the sensor now says, okay, the container is 70% full? Is the next information from the sensor the same? Will it be less, maybe because just the whole material just dumped down in the container? So how to work with that information from the container? And basically the next thing is, what does it tell me? What do I need to what do I have to do now with the information? The bin is 70% full. Is it going to be full by 100% tomorrow, or just in 3 days? So when do I have to pick it up, really? When can I pick it up? When do I have to pick it up? That information is really important to then actually integrate it into the business process and integrate it into the planning. And the next step is what to do with it in the planning, because the first reaction is, oof, until now I have just picked up the bin every second Tuesday. I didn't have to do anything about it, because if all or most of my orders are that static, then I don't have to worry about the planning, because the truck is basically going the same route every second Tuesday. If now more and more of my bins telling me dynamically when they are going to be full and they need to be picked up, then obviously my planning task gets more complex, more I need to invest more into the planning task. And that's actually where then an automation of planning comes into play. So it's not just one piece of it. It's putting a sensor in the bin. It's rather how to integrate it. Then that's, I think, the key challenge: how to integrate these things into the company's processes.
Yeah, totally. We're going to have a lot of data there, and to bring that together, I think, will be the key challenge after all.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and how you think this is going to affect the structure of the business model of a waste management company?
Yes, that will have significant influence on the business model. I think it opens up the business model of a waste and recycling company by far, because suddenly when you know what is in your bin, basically the bin, and you have parts of the industry looking at your waste material as valuable material, then suddenly your bin gets a storage. You basically know in that bin I have half a ton of glass, and maybe or half a ton of paper, and I'm expecting to, or is currently seeing that prices for paper going up by far. So I might also look into collecting the paper just now a bit quicker, a bit earlier, because I can get a good price for it. So there is different opportunities in having kind of that smart bins. There's really different opportunities you might get, depending obviously on the material for your business model.
Really interesting. That's quite an interesting idea, to have a look at what other use cases for the data are there, except of only the efficiency you will get from it. And yeah, I think we had a presentation on our last e-reg regarding this, where it's also about censoring or measuring the clearness of the waste in the bins, to get already their information on which waste and which containers are with good material or better material than the others, and then have a look on how to process it in the next time, and also of course find measurements if you get a lot of bins with bad material and a lot of things that shouldn't be in there, on how to take actions to get a solution for that as well. And I think there are, as you said, many interesting opportunities coming with that. And with that, I would say thank you so much, Christoph, for the presentation. We are coming to an end of our time for now. Do you have any last words you would like to share with the participants?
Well, thanks for having me. Was a pleasure to have the opportunity to present our solution here. I mean, if there is any questions, just reach out to us. There is, as I said, we're covering a quite broad portfolio on customers out there. And on different projects which we have done throughout the last 20 years while we are in the market. There is, I think, quite some challenges ahead, quite some disruption ahead, like in other industries as well, and now heading towards waste and recycling as well. So if there is any questions, anything we might be able to help with, we are happy to support anyone out there on these kind of topics.
Thank you so much.